Hello, my name is Dr. Ingrid Mitchell, and this is an asynchronous video of the ELA professional development that was provided on September the 23rd, 2020. The title of the session was Internalizing Existing Lesson Plans with using the curriculum CKLA, EL, and AF. So, how can teachers use their scripted plans and make them their own in order to service the children that are in front of them? During this asynchronous session, you will be able to review some foundational dispositions for grades K through 5. We'll learn what strategies help students participate in the acquisition of English and language arts. We'll take a moment and read a portion of the Tennessee Department of Education ELA standards, specifically pages 4 through 6, for the purposes of discussion and posting and being intentional with the curriculums again, CKLA, EL, and AF. Lastly, we'll finalize with reviewing each other's discussion board posts on the big takeaways of this session, whether you participated in the live synchronous session or asynchronous session. Let's dive right in with this quote from the Tennessee State Standards. And it says that students should read high quality texts, discuss their interpretation and analysis, and write about their learning. Review, discuss, and write about it. Read about it, talk about it, write about it. Well, what does that mean for grade band K2 and grade band 3-5? Pause for a moment. What would that mean? Well, for primary grades K2, even though CKLA sets the stage for us, we need to be mindful that the acquisition of language related to skills begins with the exposure of all types of linguistic awareness. For example, in the remote space, we can have online games that closely align to our skills. We can have songs that helps the students say and identify letters and sounds, nursery rhymes, and rhythmic activities. Well, the importance of that is that the sounds and the cadences serves as a groundwork for students who are strong in phonemic awareness. That ability to hear and manipulate sounds is also very important. So let's make the learning fun. Now, what about the intermediate grades of 3-5? What would that look like? Pause for a moment. For intermediate readers, it means that we're going to spend less time than primary on readers being fluent, we hope, and on word recognition, but we are honing in on focusing on those sentences, complex and simple, the paragraph, and passage comprehension. And then for the purposes of reading about it, talking about it, and writing about it. Now that we have that framework and we know that literacy is a multifaceted, complex relationship of those interrelated skills, of that vertical alignment of each of those standards. The ultimate goal of literacy instructions for students to become proficient readers, as we've determined. However, before proficiency can be achieved, children must adequately develop those essential foundational skills during those early grades. And so, even though we are in the remote space, we're going to ensure that those linguistic practices come through additional gaming and songs and nursery rhymes where students can make association and begin to read words, write words, read sentences, and write sentences for moving along with passage comprehension. So now, how will you internalize those CKLA, that EL, and that AF lesson plans in order to stamp the learning. Write in the discussion or forward I will internalize my CKLA, EL, and AF with providing my students based on data, additional gaming, songs, nursery rhymes, tricky words, syllable practice, blending practice, categorizing practice, chaining, while making the learning fun. And for intermediate, I'm going to do the same for engagement, but also creating text sets that would be auxiliary to EL and AF. Great. Now, take a moment and download our Tennessee State Standards, and you want to focus in on, for a moment, the foundational K-5 literacy strands and read pages 4 through 6. What takeaways have you identified in the text? You might have said that the oral and written language for beginning foundation is very important, and that includes the processes in the order of print concepts, phonological awareness, phonics, word recognition, word and sentence composition, then leading on to fluency. And depending on my grade and the curriculum, where would I fall back or move forward in this progression of skills to meet the needs of the standards? You may have also pulled out that within my curriculum, even if it does not provide, I'm going to keep my engagement high, and I'm going to provide games and songs that closely align to the curriculum and standard. Then moving into second and third and going forward, the read alouds, I'm going to expose and pull out those particular schema and domain specific vocabularies for the purposes of practicing language, but also giving students an opportunity to experience and hear cultures and ideas for diversity. What else was a big takeaway from the reading? Now here is a quick CFU for the first part of this asynchronous session. In my K-5 YOLA class, what is the item that I should not provide within my course? Rope, game, song, video. a look at CKLA Kinder. This is a typical lesson layout. And so you begin your lesson with blending. You have your print concepts of tracking left to right, top to bottom. You have where the students are practicing making their cups, drawing cups on the vertical surface. In cup practice, what is something that you could also add for engagement and connect for this lesson? Well, since I'm beginning my lesson with syllable blending, I might want to find a song or a rhyme to hook children in, but make learning fun while practicing. Here is CKLA, first grade. How would you internalize and stamp the learning? Well, this lesson layout has me to start with the flip book review of phonics, sounds, vowels, spelling, a word box, and pocket charts for chaining. What would you add in order to meet the needs of your students? Could the teacher provide a rhyme with the vowels being used and ask students to repeat and mimic what is being done? This also helps associate the learning and make the engagement fun. What about EL? And looking at this 3rd and 4th grade lesson layout, what would you do to internalize the lesson and make it just for the students who are in front of you? And based on some recent data, the text says that they're reading the milk. Well, what are the skills embedded in the milk? And could you add some auxiliary text to create a solid, rigorous text set to stamp the learning? And finally, for 5th grade, AF, the skills are character inferences, reading the story of wonder, and there are some predetermined questions. But again, how would you internalize and adjust based on data and meeting the needs of the students? And to stamp the learning, what would you provide? How about a quick online inference game or even video, a characterization with no words being used and just actions displayed so that students can infer what the character is feeling and doing over the course of the setting? So based on this session, what are some important tips that you'll take with you in order to internalize the learning? You could CFU in increments, song and game for engagement, but also association and connect with skills. And you can provide rhyme and rhythmic activities, again, for engagement, connect with skill, and making learning fun. Thank you for your participation.